everyone, my name's Jen.
And I'm Kip.
Thank you for tuning into the first ever TSC Direct, where we directly talk to you about the future plans and projects for our studio.
We started the studio a little over a year ago with no real plan of it getting as big as it has gotten.
Yeah.
This all started with the Figments, a college project on a story I had since 2017. Originally, it was just supposed to be an opportunity to meet and collaborate with new people, but became an amazingly fun animatic that has since gotten about 1,900 views on YouTube.
After having so much fun on that project, I wanted to expand upon it and create my own project where we really went out of our way and do like a larger scale. So that's how Little Wolf came to be. And it's now grown into an ambitious project with about 90 people on the team. And we raised over $4,000 in donations and grants. So thank you for that.
In 2022, we also went to 3 conventions in 3 different states. That's a lot of 3s. And we created awesome original merchandise with more to come. Wink. And added 3 other amazing projects to our development roster, which we'll be talking about in this video.
Even though we're still a very, very small studio with very big and ambitious ideas, and you know, this year hasn't been the greatest year for our animation overall, we want you to join us in the optimism that we have for indie animation.
What was that?
What is that? Oh, Little Wolf!
The Little Wolf team has been hard at work since we started our crowdfunding effort. We want to thank everyone who donated and gave us grants for their support and for helping us raise over $4,500. We're now able to purchase Clip Studio Paint EX licenses and brush packs for all the cleanup, colorists, and VFX teams. In July, we finally finished storyboards, and now the background team is currently working on the backgrounds and color designing. We did have to delay animation production as we had a few bumps in the road regarding our timeline. We are currently doing an animation test where small teams of animators work through the pipeline from key animation to finished products. I'm hoping by the end of this year to start production officially. We again want to thank you for your support on Little Wolf, and we can't wait to show you even more stuff as we progress through production.
You've come to kill me, haven't you? Well, here I am. The monster you've come all this way to slay. Now go on. Try and kill me.
Kip, I think we need to go to hell.
Excuse me?
Hell, Michigan.
Oh.
And we can all go to hell in the new adult comedy,
Life in Hell.
Okay, and so it says to him, I says, Ryan, I know everybody loves you, but I don't think Canada's ready for Deadpool to be their prime minister. We're rolling? Oh, okay, shoot, hang on. Hi, I'm Michelle McKenna, and I'm the creator of Life in Hell. Life in Hell is basically your run-of-the-mill show, you know. You got the characters with trouble paying rent, you've got them dealing with job crisis, things like that. Basically things that all young adults are dealing with. You know, you can't afford housing, that's not going to be a thing in your lifetime. But that's what this show's about. Also, magic and witches and, you know, dealing with the fae. Nothing too crazy.
Fun fact facts! Oh, hello there. I was just brushing up on some knowledge about the fae. Would you be interested in hearing about some of it? I'll tell you a bit about fairy etiquette. Did you know that when you're dealing with the fae, you must understand that they have different manners than you might be accustomed to? Fairies love gifts and offerings, but they're also very easily offended. So if you give them something poor or with shoddy workmanship, they will be highly offended. And when they are offended, they might do something simple like a minor inconvenience. But their offense might lead to you having a quite morbid and dreadful death. Just to give you best out there. They're also quite fond of milk. If a fairy ever gives you something, you must be careful. You are never to say thank you to a fairy, because they will take that as you owing them a favor, and you never want to owe a fairy a favor, because it might be something simple like, oh, go grab me a cheeseburger. Or you might end up having to give them your firstborn child, or a limb, or something like that. So you can respond to them by saying, oh, this gift is well received. Or if you can, try and refuse the gift as politely as you'd like, but try not to say no thank you, because the thank you still implies that you owe them. You could try having your way around it by saying something like, I appreciate the offer, but no. Something like that. Stay polite. Otherwise, you might end up on a fairy's bad side. Fun fact facts!
Puri Patel is our main character. She's a witch, and she communes with the fae. She can go in and out of the fae world as she pleases once she does her transformation. Now, fae are tricky. You can't always trust them. They're a little bit shady, but I promise you that our roster of characters is full of fun, quirky, definitely queer characters. This is Puri Patel. She, by day, works at a Chichki hell-themed store because, I mean, they're in Hell, Michigan. So Hell is notorious for having all those, like, hell-themed shops, right? Anyway, so she works at one of those by day, and by day off, she runs a tarot business. It's not very successful, not wildly known, but she's working on it. She's trying to get it going. This is Creighton. He's a bit of you know, he's a bogan, and bogans are a type of house hobgoblin. So basically, if you live in a house with them, they're like, okay, you're mine. You're my person. I'm gonna hang out with you. There's like one history of a reported bogan who would routinely fight with the master of the house, and then he would almost die for him. They're loyal to a fault.
So sorry, apparently it's landscaping day, so everybody's got the lawnmowers going.
This is Marcio. He is Puri's best human friend. He lives upstairs from her, and they work at the same shop together. So they're basically together all the time. They have like kind of a brother-sister relationship. So romance there isn't gonna happen. Don't try and ship it. This is Mab. She's queen of the fae, and she is as cool can be. No one could be more hip than her. I based her off of Lizzo, and honestly, who's cooler than Lizzo, right? This is King Ailiel. I based him off of Jonathan Van Ness from Queer Eye. He's a very fun character. He absolutely has no idea what it's like being like a poor person. He is basically super mega privileged and doesn't really know anything else.
Fun fact facts! In the fairy realm, there's the Seelie and the Unseelie court. The Seelie court rules over the spring and summer courts, and the Unseelie court rules over winter and autumn. The Seelie court is considered the benevolent court that will be
kind and not quite so mischievous, whereas the unseelie court is considered the more murderous court. However, unseelie fairies can be quite benevolent, and seelie fairies can be quite malevolent, so it's best to just err on the side of caution with them.
Fun facts! So Life in Hell is basically about saying, screw the system, trust your friends and like your found family or your real family if you're close enough with them. So trust your community and build a better life. We've currently just finished the application process for our first round of recruiting. So pretty soon we'll be getting the ball rolling, and then hopefully by next year we might be able to have a full finished episode. I'd love to see Life in Hell continue as a series, but that will depend on how production of this first pilot episode goes and if we can get funding down the line, because ideally I would like to be able to pay all the crew something, but for now that's not an option because I don't got any money. You can see patches and scratches in my walls. I don't got money to pay people for that. So ideally we're gonna try crowdfunding down the road and hope that we can get something going.
Fun facts! Did you know that fairies are allergic to iron? It can burn their flesh, and they ideally like to stay away from it. So if you are ever planning on meeting a fairy and trying to talk to them, they will be highly offended if you have iron on you, so make sure to take that off. But if you'd rather keep fairies away, you might want to carry iron on you. After all, you wouldn't want some mischief coming your way.
Fun facts! Here's some clips from the animatic.
Many people have heard about fairy rings at some point in their life or another, but do you all know the lore about fairy rings? In some cultures, people will say that a fairy ring you are lured to with music, and that once you get inside, you'll be trapped to dance until you either go insane or you die from exertion. Other people tend to think that once you step into a fairy ring, time moves differently. For you in the fairy ring, it might just be a matter of moments, but in the world outside, years could have passed.
Fun facts! And that's all from me for Life in Hell.
Next off is
Wait. Let me introduce this one, since I am a fun guy.
Where did you get that?
Next off, we have more info on a new series we've teased a bit on our trailer, All You Can't Eat, presented by creator Jenna Rose.
Hi everyone, I'm Jenna Rose, and I'm the creator of All You Can't Eat, which is a YA fantasy comedy drama series currently in development through the Sunflower Club. And this story, it's set at a culinary camp that happens to be built at the edge of an enchanted forest belonging to the local Grim Reaper. It's a summer camp, and so we've got a lot of young and upcoming chefs there. We're going to be following Bridget. She's about 13 or 14 years old, very enthusiastic, very passionate and determined to be the greatest experimental chef the world has ever known. So her goal is to develop her signature dish by the end of the summer, and to do that she decides to wander off into the forest, which she doesn't know is enchanted, to search for some kind of key ingredient to make her signature dish. Unfortunately, while she's foraging, she stumbles upon a mushroom garden that happens to belong to the local Reaper. Not knowing this, she finds a mushroom. It appears edible based on her skills. She's a very well-trained forager. That's why she feels comfortable eating it. And it's delicious and it's edible, but it also curses her. And unless she can be cured before the end of summer, she'll become a shade permanently bound to the forest. Naturally, once the local reaper, Capper, who is very reclusive, very independent and solitary, a little bit grumpy, once they realize what she's done, they are not terribly happy, and after some unsuccessful attempts at curing her, Capper decides that they will work with Bridget to help her develop a cure before the end of summer, so that Capper doesn't end up with a very talkative, very active, very enthusiastic new shade neighbor permanently. So as the summer goes on, Bridget's going to have to work really hard to keep the effects of her curse and the fact that the forest is magic a secret from everyone it can. And Capper's going to have to work very hard to not attract the attention of some other reapers they know who happen to be nearby, and also the attention of certain higher powers that be that would not be terribly pleased to find out Capper is in cahoots with a living human. Basically, there's just going to be a lot of cooking, a lot of death, and a lot of mushrooms once we dive into All You Can't Eat, and I'm really excited to share it with all of you. This story is a bit of a passion project of mine. It goes into a lot of themes and representation that I wish I'd seen more of growing up in animation, and that I'd like to have more of still. There's a lot of great queer representation. A lot of people are just going through different periods of discovery in their lives. It also dives into some mental health topics, effects of anxiety and sadness, and ways to cope that leave you feeling more positive and more fulfilled, and less isolated, like Capper unfortunately is at first. There's also a lot about how to build healthy friendships, set boundaries, and how to create and forge your own path ahead for your life, regardless of the expectations of others around you. You know, even if your story ends up being messy and chaotic and it's not perfect, it's yours and it's beautiful. And another final thing that might be happening in this show is the end of the world. Capper is especially nervous about that topic and has a lot of secrets they are keeping about it. So currently, for All You Can't Eat, I've been developing this for about 2 years now. I have the pilot script done. I'm working with an artist for the final character designs. I'm really excited to share those with you. In the meantime, I've done a little bit of art on my own and created a few fandom tea blends on Adagio for the series. It features 6 of the current cast, Bridget and Capper, of course, the 2 other Reapers, Anders and Osiria, who I love, head camp counselor Izzy, and the mysterious Moon, who I describe as a benign eldritch entity. So you can find those on adagio.com, or you can visit my Twitter at jrosereads for more information. Today, what we're going to actually be doing is, since this is a cooking themed show, we're going to be doing a recipe inspired by a mix of Capper and Bridget. We're going to be doing a maple spice orange bundt cake with maple ice cream topped with candy cat mushrooms, which are one of the only dessert mushrooms. They actually have a delicious sweet maple flavor. So we're going to be topping the ice cream and the cake with that. And how this is a mix of Bridget and Capper is Capper tends to eat very blandly. They rough it, they live out in the woods, but they don't mind making a nice simple spice cake, maybe with a little bit of whipped cream or vanilla ice cream on the side. Bridget, however, likes to add as much as she can into recipes, try new flavor combinations, make things really shine. So this is Capper's simple cake and simple ice cream, with a lot of Bridget's additional fun experimental ingredients. We're going to be going through how to make the cakes first. You can either have a normal bundt pan, or if you don't have one of those, you can just use a loaf pan or a cake pan. Anything's good. Afterwards, I'll also be showing you how to make the ice cream. If you don't have an ice cream maker, no worries at all. You can just go pick up vanilla soft serve anywhere, mix in a little maple syrup for flavor, boom, you're good. So we're going to be beginning with the cake, which I'm very excited about. So for ingredients, you're going to need 3 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1.5 cups of butter, 1 cup of white sugar, 3/4 cup of brown sugar, plus that little bit extra to sprinkle in the pan, 3 eggs, a tablespoon of vanilla extract, 3/4 cup of sour cream or plain yogurt, cream cheese, just something with that little sour kick, all softened, 1/4 cup of maple syrup, a tablespoon or so of orange zest to taste. For the glaze we'll put on top, we'll need 1 cup or 2 of powdered sugar and a few tablespoons of no pulp orange juice. And if you decide to make the ice cream later, you'll need 6 egg yolks, 3/4 cup of maple syrup, a cup of heavy cream, and 1.5 cups of whole milk. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, for our spices, definitely cinnamon, ginger if you have it, and then maybe a little bit of nutmeg if you have that as well. And I'd also like a pinch of cardamom. Okay, let's go. As you can see, I've got my oven preheating to 325. My little mini bundt pan I've greased and floured. Now we're just going to sprinkle a little bit of brown sugar into the bottoms, just so it has a nice topping on the top of the bundt cake when we take it out. Sugar will get all crispy. If you want something a little less sweet, you can always skip. Next we'll move on to the dry ingredients. Okay, so we've got our 3 cups of flour. We'll start putting that in a separate medium to large size bowl. Move on to the baking powder, 2 teaspoons in total. Perfect. I'd like to put just a tiny pinch of salt in. Great. And then we can also add in our spices. Perfect. So for this cake, I'm going to do a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of ginger, and I'm going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of cardamom. All of these have really nice flavors to them. Great, we've got our 3 spices all added in. Now we're just going to take a spoon and just give them a nice stir up. You can either use a wooden spoon or a whisk if you'd like to blend a little bit more evenly. I just like to gently fold things over back and forth, making sure everything gets nice and evenly distributed. That should be perfect. Okay, and then we're all set on our dry ingredients. We can just leave this aside for now, and next we'll move on to our wet ingredients. For this, you're going to either want to have a standing mixer, or to grab a large bowl and a hand mixer to beat things. Or if you don't have a hand mixer, you can always use a whisk. Next, we're going to cream the butter with the white sugar and brown sugar. So we needed 1.5 cups of butter, which is about 3 sticks. So we can just slowly ease that in here. Nice and soft. Wonderful. Good. To get it softened, you either want to let it sit out a little bit before you start baking with it, or you can just put it in the microwave for 30 seconds to a minute. Just keep an eye on it to make sure it doesn't melt. Okay, so next we're going to need 1 cup of white sugar. So we're going to add that in. Perfect. And then 3/4 cup of brown sugar. You can use light or dark brown sugar. The dark's just a little bit sweeter than the light. And we're going to make sure to pack the brown sugar down in the cup. So we're just going to gently push it after we pour it in. Good. Nice and packed. Okay, now to cream, if we're using our stand mixer, we're going to lock the mixer, good. And then we're going to turn it on to about medium speed. So we want the butter and the sugars just all nice and blended and whipped up together. All right, so our butter was super soft. It only took about 3 minutes actually. And you see we've got this nice whipped consistency here. Nice and light and airy. So we're going to scrape down the sides. Get everything nice and in the center again. Scrape it off of the mixer a little bit. And then we're going to turn the mixer back on again after we remove the spatula. We're going to scrape off the spatula. Good. And then from here, we'll lock the mixer again. I'll turn it on low. And we're just going to add the eggs one at a time, beating well between each egg. There goes one. We will increase the speed just a smidge. There we go. Getting everything nice and loose. Okay, I think we can add our second egg. Great. And then we'll drop in one more egg. Perfect. And then we'll add our tablespoon of vanilla extract. which I tend to eyeball because I've been doing this a lot, but feel free to use the tablespoon measuring spoon. Perfect. Letting everything get nice and whipped up again. All right. Next, we're going to move on to our final mixture. We've got the wet, we've got the dry. We're also going to make a mixture of the maple syrup with our sour cream or our cream cheese or our yogurt. I'm going to be using cream cheese today, so let's go to our third and final bowl. So we've got our cream cheese. I've got our 1/4 cup of maple syrup. Great. Nice rich brown color. Nice and sweet. I'm just going to lightly blend them together with a fork. Awesome. It doesn't have to be uniform or anything, just needs to be basically blended together. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to fold the dry ingredients into the cream mixture we made, alternatively with the milk maple syrup mixture. So basically, I'm going to put in half of this mixture, blend it, second third of the flour mixture, blend, second half of this mixture, blend, last of the flour mixture, blend. Just kind of helps keep a nice consistency with everything. So we'll begin by, we're actually going to bring the flour mixture over to the creamed mixture. Okay, and we will scrape down the sides once more. Okay, so I'm just going to fold this in just gently, not like a quick stirring, just exactly what it says. Folding the dough up and over, getting all that nice flour incorporated. Move on and do half of this maple cream cheese mixture. Good. Blend that in as well. Great. Move on to the next third of the flour mixture. And again, just slowly folding that in. It's becoming more and more dough-like. Might be a little dry, that's okay. We still have more of that liquid mixture to add. Okay, the last of this. Just giving that some nice folding. This already smells really good. Okay. And then the last of the flour mixture. Okay, this may end up being a little bit dry. You don't want it to be crumbly. You want it to be pretty close to pourable. So if it does end up less like a batter and more like a dough, I'd say put in a splash of water or orange juice. We're still going to add in the orange zest. Okay, I'm just gonna get the orange juice and then the orange zest. And perfect, we've got the blender blade back for this. Just add in a little bit of orange juice. Blend it and see how that affects the consistency. Okay, still a little thick to me. Notice how it's clinging to this blade in the center. Let's add just a tiny bit more. Kind of pouring it in a couple tablespoons at a time. Okay, see, that looks better. That looks a little less like dough and a little more like batter. Now, before I forget, we're also going to add in the orange zest. We've got this nice bright orange zest, and we're just going to pop it in here. And let it blend just for a few more seconds to get everything nice and incorporated. Now we're just going to pour into our pans, get everything slipped into the oven. And we'll set the timer for, it says it'll take about an hour. I would set it for 45 minutes and then just check the cake or the bread, the loaf, and stick a toothpick in there. If it comes out with a few crumbs clinging to it, perfect. If it comes out with dough or batter clinging to it, keep giving it then 5 more minutes until we get to the full hour. And by then it should be done and nice and golden brown. All right, so we'll be putting these in the oven, then taking them out, and we'll be getting the ice cream done while we wait. All right, so from here, we're going to move on to the custard. The custard does need to chill for about 6 hours or overnight. So you can either have it later in the day with your cakes once they're done, or you can have it the next day. All right, so we'll start. We need 6 egg yolks. So we're going to separate our eggs. This is what we do, like I did here. It's okay if it's not perfect. We crack the egg in half, and we just gently bring the yolk back and forth to get the white out over this bowl, and then we drop the yolk in this bowl. It's okay if a little bit of white gets into this. It's not a big deal, all right? So here we go. And we'll get 6 in total. We're going to put our 6 egg yolks, and then we're going to put in 3/4 cup of maple syrup. We don't need to put any sugar in this ice cream because the sugar is in the milk and the sugar in the syrup. That's going to sweeten it for us. Great. And then we're just going to gently whisk everything together, getting everything nice and uniform. Perfect. Now we have a nice blended mixture. All right, and next we'll move on to adding in the milk and cream. All right, so we've got 1.5 cups of milk. Okay, so we've got our 1.5 cups of whole milk. I've put in the cup. Let's put in the half. Good. I mean, a cup of nice heavy cream. Nice and thick. Good. All right. We're going to just pour that in. We're going to whisk all that together. Very nice. Good. And then we're going to set the burner on medium heat. And we're just going to keep whisking for about 10 to 15 minutes. Eventually this will thicken up. What you want to see is it sticking to the whisk. Getting a lot more solidity to it. Like right now it's dripping off. It'll stick a little bit more. Okay, so about 10 to 15 minutes, stirring it constantly. Great, so we finished our custard mixture, and then we would want to strain it in a nice big strainer into a container. So this can take a few minutes just to like let all the liquidy stuff run out and all the solid stuff stay behind. And then we would just put this mixture that's filling out here into the fridge, and that would stay for 6 hours or overnight. And afterwards, if you have an ice cream maker, you can just make it according to your ice cream maker's specific instructions. All right. And the final thing we would need to make is just the glaze for our cakes. You could also sprinkle some of this on the ice cream if you'd like. So we've just got about 1 cup or so of powdered sugar. There's no like precise measurements to this. You just kind of want to play with the sugar and the orange juice until you've got a nice consistency, kind of thick. So just start with a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. Okay. Then we'll mix it together. We don't want it to be like a paste, but we don't want it to be too thin. We want it to be nice and pourable. It's also going to have a nice pale orange color too. Like we want it to drip off of the spoon. Good. And then when your cake or bread is done and ready, mine are, but they're not cooled off yet. You just need to wait till they're cool. You would just hold the spoon over it and just gently drizzle like that. And here are my cakes and my bread. Just have to wait for them to cool off before I ice them and flip them over. They came out nice, a little puffy. That's okay, more cake for me. All right, so as soon as this is cooled off and I have my ice cream ready and everything, I will see you back at my desk for the final product. Here we are, our lovely little bun cake covered in glaze with some homemade ice cream and our little candy cat mushrooms right on top. Oh, I'm so excited to eat this. Thank you all so much for joining me, and please check out everything the Sunflower Club has to offer. It's a wonderful group of people, and I'm so happy to be part of it. Take care.
We haven't talked about this one yet. A short film by Mac Whittle. This is Nice to Meet You.
Oh my god. Kit, you've known me for 12 years. We've already met. Did you forget who I was? Kit!
An ex-super spy, now retired, struggling to integrate into civilian life. Her old arch-nemesis, now called Hazel Malachi, having transitioned into a new person entirely in more ways than one. They cross paths by chance at a local supermarket. What could go wrong? Hi, I'm Mac Whittle, a man of many hats here at the Sunflower Club, producer and showrunner amongst other things. This short film is a part of a wider project called All's Fair in Love and Espionage, initially conceived in 2018 as a short comic. Right now, we have the storyboards completely finished and most of the dialogue recorded as well. Here's a quick peek at what that looks like. Mission objective. Just get something nice for book club.
Now, I too have a huge announcement.
You?
Hope everyone brought their mixtapes, cause Figments is going on a road trip! The Figments is coming back. The end of this month will signify the beginning of pre-development on a new and improved Figments, a fully animated cartoon web series for young adults. New story, new locations, and an all-new cast. Young Mari has lived with her Aunt Mavis, Uncle Maxwell, and cousin Lydia ever since she could remember, and their lives in Spellworth are perfect. Well, as perfect as a human living with a family of vampires can get. After an incident on her 15th birthday, Mari finds a box of cassette tapes, which contain the voice memos of her mother. These reveal Mari's mom to have gone on missions to discover Figments, the founding monsters, each with extraordinary powers. Dragging Lydia in tow, and maybe meeting some friends along the way, Mari is determined to spend the summer tracing her mother's footsteps in hopes of finding her. But what happens when the secret world of monsters is threatened in the process? Yikes! Better put the pedal to the metal, guys.
A wild mascot has appeared!
Hi, my name is Sunny, and I'm a member of the Sunflower Club. I go by they/them pronouns. I have big dreams that I'm scared I'm going to fail at, but I'm just going to take it one step at a time. Why don't you join me on this journey and we can grow together?
Follow us on social media to learn more about Sunny.
All these projects look fantastic. The Sunflower Club really does have an exciting future ahead of us.
And we want to do more than what we're currently doing and make this more than just a studio that produces original IPs online, but also be an educational program for growing artists of marginalized groups and educational backgrounds.
Getting into art colleges can be hard and expensive. During the pandemic, it seems that more online courses and programs have popped up, which is great. There are a lot of growing artists that are lacking the hands-on training, however, and more personal guidance that some of these schools provide. It's also harder to get internships without having those connections that traditional schooling comes with.
That's why the Sunflower Club wants to expand into becoming a bridge studio, which essentially helps artists gain experience and work for their portfolio to help transition them into their careers. We'd love to be that bridge between being a student and working in a studio, especially funded indie studios.
This is basically what we are doing with Little Wolf and most of the projects we mentioned previously, but we hope in the future to be fully funded through grants and crowdfunding to provide stipends and support to everyone on every production we have.
However, for now, we're just gonna keep growing our studio, develop our projects, and take it one step at a time.
Thank you for watching this year's TSC Direct.
And we hope to see you next year with more exciting news.